right, Evan, this is your second time on the Mortgage Marketing Expert podcast. The first one was back in February of 2020, which feels like a lifetime ago.
Dude,
The
that's
world looks
crazy.
like a very different place than it
That is
did back
crazy.
then. Everyone's businesses are at a very different place. So instead of rehashing old ground, I want to use our time to talk about what actually matters right now, things that are meaningful in what we know is a very noisy digital world. So the first question I really have for you is most people listening have probably had some success by industry standards. You've said a lot of times that belief breaks down at the next level. So what does belief need to look like when you're no longer trying to make it, but you're really trying to expand into that next level?
Man, there needs to be a strong desire because a lot of people, I mean, if people are listening to this, watching this, they might be the most successful person that they know. They might be the ones in their families who are like, they're the breadwinners, but they're more successful than their parents and their friends and people they went to school with and all of these things. And you're the giver, which is great. Like you're pouring in other people. Awesome. And it's easy to, like, it's really easy to plateau. Like, okay, you're like this big fish in a small pond and cool. Like if that's what you love, awesome, stay there. It's great. But there's often this little gnawing, like I could be doing more, it's like, it's great. But I grew a lot in my first X years, but now it's just kind of plateaued and it's the same year after year after year. And you're capable of more. And, my mom used to always tell me, if you have the ability, you have the responsibility. If you can, then you must. And so the first way through that, I think, is go back to service. If we're talking to the already successful person, in the mortgage industry, great, you're making money, you're still hustling, you're working. You can't just, you're not just going to take the next 5 years off. You still have to show up and do the work, but you're not worried about paying your mortgage. Like you've got a decent life, but service, like what does it actually mean to serve on a higher level? And whether that's your family, whether you want to set up your family for generations, whether it's the people that you help in your community, whether it's expanding your team and you being a leader and like showing the people that are coming up how to be responsible adults and give them financial freedom and a future. If you can actually connect it, because you get to a point where money is not as motivating anymore. It's not just to go buy whatever the thing is you want to buy, but service becomes a thing. It's like, who can you actually deeply connect to that if I got 10 times bigger, what does that mean for the people that I can impact? And not just some logical thing. Like, oh, well, I serve this many families, so I could serve this many families and I'm helping them set up on their homes. And it's like, that's not it. It's got to be an emotional trigger that if you actually got 10 times bigger, what are you most excited by for the people that you're going to serve, whether it's your family, whether it's your team, whether it's your clients, your community, something, your ability to have a much bigger impact because the past 4 years, you've kind of been playing small and coasted, and now's the time to step up.
I love that. And kind of on this topic of service, your philosophy is built on service, as you said. How does someone, continue to serve deeply, like you're talking about, as their audience grows, as their client base grows beyond that immediate sphere of influence or their family or people that they can directly touch? How does that continue to evolve as you want to serve people at a higher level that maybe isn't just at arm's length?
So 2 ways. One is scaled content. So what you're doing here, you have a show. People watch this show. They learn from you. I don't know, how many years have you been doing this show?
This summer will be 8 years.
Right? That's not like I got this idea to start a podcast. Really, you're
Yeah.
on it. 8 years is no joke. So you could start a show and that allows you to serve. You don't feel the connection as much. So people are listening. You've changed people's lives through your content, through the guests you've had on and said something smart. You have changed people's lives that you don't even know about. Right? Now, thankfully, sometimes people leave comments. Thankfully, sometimes people send emails. Sometimes people will stop by and tell you, and that's gold. And for anybody listening, watching, if Phil's impacted, you let them know. Like that's the thing that keeps people going. When I see a comment about how my videos changed somebody's life, that's way more emotionally fulfilling than, oh, this video got however many views and we got 4 million subscribers or whatever. What is that? It doesn't even mean anything. I don't even know what that is. It doesn't, like, I'm not emotionally connected to the subscriber count, but when somebody says that my video helped them, that means a lot to me. So you can scale that way through taking your ideas, your knowledge, your leadership, and then trying to teach America it, and or you scale through team. So the people that you train and mentor are now going on. You can't talk to as many clients, but you can talk to the people and train them up who are going and talking to the clients. So I just got off a different podcast with a person in my Movement Makers program. I had never met this person before, but he had all these great things to say. And with his coach, Milko, who's on my team, and I coach Milko, Milko then goes changes lives. Right. So you don't need, I mean, depends on the size of the ambition of the people who are listening. I'm sure people are at different stages with their business, but you scale yourself through content and knowledge, and you scale your team. And so you're helping your 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, whatever, and they're off changing thousands of people's lives.
It's a perfect example of legacy, right? Because you can create an idea, you can create that momentum and move that forward. You mentioned content. This is obviously a big topic that everyone's talking about in any industry or vertical. Mortgage and real estate professionals specifically know they should be creating content, but many people feel exposed or they cringe or they fake it when they try to fake it till you make it kind of thing. How do you help people create content that's authentic without necessarily oversharing or overperforming?
Yeah, I think the two biggest problems, we've done a lot of work in the mortgage and real estate industry and financial services too. It's similar problems. The two biggest challenges are one, it doesn't feel authentic or fun. And two, it doesn't work. They've all done something. Chances are anybody listening here has tried, they've done something, they've posted something. They may not have 8 years of content like you do under their belt and the microphone and the everything else, right? But they've done something probably. Like show me somebody in a mortgage, real estate, financial services who has nothing on their Instagram, nothing on YouTube, right? They've all done something, but it wasn't authentic, didn't feel fun, and it didn't work. That's the problem. So the first thing we do when we work with people is figure out, okay, what is an authentic piece of content and how do we make it work for your business? So the first thing we do typically is what we call the biz dev show. And so instead of going direct to camera and sharing a message about your view on the state of the mortgage industry is a really hard thing to do. Like making that entertaining and valuable and interesting when you're by yourself. If you take the average mortgage executive or entrepreneur and they're just by themselves in studio, it's really hard. It's fake. It doesn't feel fun. You're trying to memorize a script. There's nobody to talk to except you and the camera. But if they were talking to a client, it's so much easier with somebody else. They're probably great at helping. Like if they've been in the industry for any sort of time, you're good at helping people. You have to be, if you suck at helping people, you will be washed out of this industry super quick. Like you have to actually like helping people. And so you're probably good at helping people. And if you're listening to this show, you're also invested into yourself and learning and trying to get better and not just relying on like what, the company gives you, which is awesome. So how do you turn helping people and turn that into like content? And so the Biz Dev show, as you think about who are the top 50 people that if they knew you, like you, trusted you, would be worth significant income in your business. For mortgage industry, it's typically related, not clients, but it's service professionals. So let's take referrals. This is a relationship business, right? It's a mostly relationship business. So who are the top referral sources besides existing clients for a typical person in the mortgage industry? What would you say, Phil?
Typically that's going to be realtors, real estate professionals, title companies, financial advisors, potentially attorneys or CPAs.
Right. And local, right? Like people in your geographic area. Somebody, if you're in New York or someone from LA, like could they give you a lead? Probably, but like that's such a long shot, right? But you just listed off like 5 or 6 categories. Cool. So what we do then is think about, we call it your Money 50 list. Take those 5 categories, go 10 deep locally on all those people. What's the best way to get to know somebody? It's not to take them to lunch, because they don't want to go to lunch with you. They don't want you to pick their brain over coffee. You invite them on your show. Who wants to talk to realtors on their show? Nobody. Nobody's inviting realtors on their show. Nobody. But you do. You want to talk to realtors. So even if you have a brand new show, it's like, hey, I'm starting a brand new show talking about the real estate industry in Dallas, Texas. I'd love to have you on my show to talk about it. You're now leading with a give, right? Where everybody else is like, hey, can you introduce me to somebody? Hey, cold calling emails. It's like just now, and it feels terrible. Now you have them on your show. All you're doing is having a conversation, which you should be good at just having a conversation. Like if you're sitting next to this person at a fundraising dinner or something, could you hold your own in a conversation, right? Probably, hopefully, like you've been in this business for any sort of years. You don't have to be Joe Rogan. You're just having a conversation and you're edifying them. We're not pitching them on anything. We're just telling their story. How'd you get started? What do you think about the Dallas real estate market right now? What's the biggest challenge you're seeing with your clients? Whatever questions come to mind, that's the show. And they say yes, like there's like, okay, well, why would they come on my show? I have no audience. Because nobody's inviting them on anything. You're giving them marketing. All of these real estate agents are trying to build their brand too. And they're trying to hire companies to help them. And here you are offering to do it for free for them, to give them content for their channels and socials as well, right? If you needed to get The Rock on your show, forget it, right? Like I can't get him on my show yet, but to get a Dallas real estate agent on your show is not a huge deal. And then after we've had that conversation, now they know you, like you, trust you. Now, chances are they already have somebody they're giving deals to in the mortgage space, right? Like they have a number one person. If they don't, you probably don't want to talk to them. If they don't have somebody they're sending deals to, it means they're brand new in the business and it's probably not somebody we want to spend a ton of time because we got to educate them. They don't know the industry, yada, yada. We want to get to know the top people, the people who already have existing relationships. So the ask then isn't to be their number one. The ask afterwards. So you've done this interview, you've built a relationship. It's fun. Hopefully, like it's authentic. You're just having a conversation. You're not memorizing anything. You're just talking to somebody, getting to know their story, which should be hopefully fun for people to do. Afterwards, you ask to be a second opinion. So I'm in the mortgage space. Here's what we do. You see people all the time. I know you already have somebody. I'd love to be a second opinion on any deals that come through if you think it's a fit. And chances are they might have something right now. Right? Maybe their number one person's on vacation. Maybe their number one person is just overwhelmed and can't do anything. Maybe their number one person kind of dropped the ball on this one deal and they have somebody ready to go, right? Or maybe they have nothing right now and we're just building a relationship. But like if the top 50, if you go down those categories that you just listed out, if the top 50 people in all those categories in your local market knew you, like you, trusted you, how many of those need to come through? You just having a positive reputation with them is probably a good thing. Right? Probably. And if they had some kind of affinity towards you, what does that lead to for your business? You get a shot at some deals. Now, then you have to be good, right? If you say, I'm going to be a second opinion, are you actually good at the thing and give them value as that second opinion, right? That I can't help you with that. You have to actually be good at the thing that you say you're good at. But again, if you're listening to this show, you're a fan of Phil, you're probably good at your actual work. You've invested into yourself. And so we're making content. We're not doing the talking head videos. We're not talking about the state of the mortgage industry and nobody watches the videos. We're making content that still won't get a ton of views. That's not the goal. Like you're not going to get a million views of a mortgage person talking to a real estate person, right? That's not a million view video. It doesn't matter. We're building a relationship and we're getting content for both of our personal brands. So that's fun to do. It's more natural, more relaxed, more in somebody's comfort zone, but also leads to better results because we're building relationships with the people that matter that can really explode our business. How's that?
It's one of the most practical pieces of advice that anyone's given on this podcast and in terms of content, and something I actually coach people on because I had a mentor a long time ago that said, you need to write this down. And I even put it on a post-it on my monitor and it said, who knows who I need to know? And that was even the premise. I wasn't able to name it at the time, but the whole reason I started the podcast, I was one of the first few mortgage podcasts in 2018. I didn't expect anyone to listen, but what I knew is it gave me a reason to reach out to some of the most influential people within the mortgage industry, ask them questions, learn from them, create those relationships. And as a byproduct, I found out later when they shared the content, some of their audience became our audience. And I think that's what we're essentially wanting to do on a practical scale with mortgage professionals. And something I've done when I used to originate and something everyone needs to do is sit down and have a conversation with them, record it, use it as content for your business, for their business, and create that relationship. And I think that one is absolutely spot on, as opposed to just trying to be a subject matter expert or trying to be someone that's massively influential within your space, because that doesn't come out as sexy content. And to your point, the same way I wasn't necessarily as concerned whether people listened to the podcast, even though they did, was that I was creating those relationships. And that's really what we're after, because that drives business results. I've never seen a comp plan in anyone in mortgage and real estate that's attached to likes or views or shares or anything of that matter. So we have to keep that in perspective.
Yeah, correct. And then it's a great point, Phil. I mean, when I did it the hard way on my YouTube channel. I mean, I'm all for impact. I mean, we have 4 million subscribers, over, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of views at this point. So I love getting impact. If somebody here listening has a message, want to change the world, awesome. And to do that, you need team. And so to build team, you need to make more money. The way to make more money is to get more business. Let's use content to get more business. So like step one is doing that, because back to the 2 points, it's either it's not fun, it doesn't feel authentic, and it doesn't drive results. That's why people stopped. Everybody started, but everybody stopped because it wasn't authentic or fun and it didn't drive results. So that's the first thing to solve. Because once you get used to doing, your first interview might be nervous. I'm sure you, like 8 years ago, are completely different compared to now. Your comfort level, the setup, all that kind of stuff, right? But it's way easier to do content and talking to somebody. And you're used to talking to people in real estate. It's not like you have to go interview the president or something.
That's
You're
right.
talking to local people in real estate. You know how to do this. Everybody's there. You've already done it. You go to networking events, you go to barbecues and picnics, you talk to these people all the time anyway. Now we're just pressing record. So it's a lot easier to get started and yields faster results to grow the business. Whether you ever want to change the world or not, if it's the goal is, I just want to, we work with mortgage real estate people, like, I just want to grow my business. Okay, cool. Like, that's all you need. You don't have to worry about ever doing thought leadership content. Just do the biz dev show, build the relationships, grow the business.
You talked about that confidence in being able to talk to people that so often when we put a camera in front of them, especially if you're trying to do the talking head videos, it changes the entire dynamic, which is why what you said works. You're having a normal conversation like you normally do. You're just happening to record it. But I want to talk about this confidence piece for a second, because you've worked with people that have less skill, but massive confidence. And there's others who are incredibly capable, but are practically invisible online. What's usually missing from that second group in terms of confidence or something that's keeping them capped at the level that they're at?
Usually any kind of momentum or traction. I mean, it took me 350 videos, public videos, before I wasn't completely embarrassed by myself. I couldn't watch my content back. 350 public videos and 700 videos until I inspired myself. Like, I watched the video and said, I'm starting to get like that. I'm starting to get good at this. 700 videos. Like, most people just quit along the way. I'm not super smart. In fact, I should have gone and asked for help and got coaching and everything sooner. I just kept going. That was the only thing I had going for me. It took me way too long, but I just kept going. So the biggest thing people are missing is just traction. It feels like this big, impossible, like, I'm going to launch a podcast. Oh my God, that's so much work. What microphone do I buy? What camera do I buy? Phil has this, message behind him. How do I get, what's my be uncommon version? Like, all of these things that are just, that doesn't matter. We get lost in the details that don't matter. And it feels harder than it is, because once you get your first episode done, it's like, you know what? That wasn't that bad. I could do that again pretty easily. And so it's just the first step is like the giant leap for mankind. Like, it's this huge step, but it's actually not that big a deal. And once you get started, it's like, okay, well, that's just what I do now. And that's pretty cool. And it's working because I'm building relationships with people. Right. So then that becomes the thin wedge in. Because if you are doing a weekly show and you're doing your interviews with the top 50 people in your market that matter and the people that you want to get to know, again, the easiest way to get to know them is to invite them on your show. They don't want to go to lunch with you, but they'll come on your show. So if you start getting just some great conversations and relationships, now you're a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera, hosting a show. Okay, you want to do your own. The next thing we do there is what we call buyer breakthrough videos. It's like, they're thought leadership videos, solo to camera, but what are the common questions that your clients ask you on repeat? Like, there's 20 to 40 questions that we all get asked. Like, what's one of the most common questions that a mortgage broker would get asked?
A lot of times it's around down payments. Do I need 20% down, or is less okay? Or what is mortgage insurance? Things like that.
Perfect. So, like, do I need 20% down? How many times have you been asked that question, right? Like, you have that answer photocopied in your brain because you've answered it so many times and you know what they're feeling. You've answered that in person so many times. You know the yeah buts, you know the hesitations, you know how to answer that question because it's not a new question for you. And so that's then the next easiest type of content to make. If you had to come up with a brand new video, like the top 8 trends for 2026, I'm blank. Oh my God, what are the top 8 trends? It's a very stressful video to make. How much do I have to put down? Do I have to put 20% down? That answer, and now we have a little bit of comfort already being on camera from doing our biz dev show. So that's the next step, is answer the top 20 to 40 questions that you get asked on repeat. And it lives on your YouTube channel, but also lives on your website. People have websites. The websites in the mortgage industry are usually terrible. Terrible. And sometimes you're restricted by what you can and can't do, depending on the relationship with the company that you're with. Cool. But it's mostly terrible. There's some blog articles that also look terrible. So just go in front of the camera. Doesn't have to be like super fancy shot, and answer those top 20 to 40 questions. So it now lives on our YouTube channel. It lives on our website. It lives in our emails. If we have an assistant or team, we know that when that question, like if somebody calls us or they're coming to our office and they have that question, we can answer it very clearly, and they're probably going to become our client. right? Like most people listening, if that person walks in your office and they ask that question, you know how to answer it, and they're probably going to become your client. Probably, right? You have to screw up somewhere. But people have that question. They're not coming into your office yet. So, how do we leverage your time? Well, it's on your website. People can watch it. If somebody has a question and they email in, your assistant can send them an email back, not just with the right information, but also the video of you because they're spending time with you and to see how much this person actually cares and they're actually knowledgeable. Like the more time they're spending watching you, they start building the know, like, trust factor, even though you have no idea who they are, but they know who you are. And so then when they come to the office and when they call you, it's like, yeah, I saw your video. I like that. They already have this relationship with you. And you're like, I don't know who you are, but tell me about yourself. So the top 20 to 40 questions that people are asking because you've been in this business and turning that into videos. So it's a little more comfortable for you to make because you know how to answer them. But it doesn't just live on YouTube and just hope somebody finds it. It's on our website and it's part of our sales process and that our team can use to be able to put it out so that it converts more sales coming in.
No, 100%. And in our coaching programs within my company, we call them one-timers, something you can answer one time. And then when someone asks that question, you're able to say, hey, I recorded this video, take a look at it. Let me know if you have any other questions. Not only does it save you time, but to your point, you're still developing that relationship. It's a scalability factor. And to your point, putting it on YouTube now allows a whole other audience of someone who's, especially if you've got a good description in the video and things of that nature, all of a sudden people are asking those questions in Google or on YouTube and you're being found, you're being seen in addition to your show content like you talked about. And to your point, when we were talking about that earlier, people need to adopt ready, fire, then aim as opposed to trying to figure out all the details. Even my podcast, one of the first times we interviewed you, or the first time we interviewed you, I had a $40 Logitech webcam that I don't think it was even high def, and a $100 Blue Yeti, and a free version of Zoom probably.
Let's go.
And we were getting thousands of downloads a month before we ever scaled that up because we were very clearly focused on what the objective was. And I think that that's where, when we talk about some of this content, people kind of get in their head a little bit that I've got to look like Joe Rogan or Evan Carmichael or these people I hear, Mel Robbins, that have these incredible produced shows, as opposed to understanding that content is king. Is there value in it? Are people going to feel something? So along those lines, that one of the first words you used when you answered that was momentum. And you talk a lot about momentum. How do people rebuild momentum when they still have maybe some discipline or some desire, but that excitement's gone, right? That new year motivation, as we're now in the month of we're into January, beginning of February, when that new year, new me context, wears off, how do they rebuild that momentum?
Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch in there. So first, the ready, fire, aim, I agree with. I think just the aim, people's aim is wrong. Like they're spending a lot of time. They think ready, aim, fire. Just you spend so much time in the aim so that you don't fire, but most of the stuff you're aiming at doesn't matter. So ready, fire, aim feels like it's out of order, but everybody listening, you're already ready. You're already ready. You have enough. You don't need more aiming. Like you don't need to sit there and plan and plan. You already have enough to go out and do this. The hardest part to teach is the expertise in the industry. Like if you suck as a mortgage executive, okay, well then go get better. Go get smarter at mortgages because that actually matters. But you already have enough to have a conversation with somebody. You're just overthinking it. We're not aiming anymore. We're just going in circles. The other quick thing about putting the videos on YouTube about the buyer breakthrough videos, or what do you call it? The one-timers. The one-timers. Yeah. When you put it to YouTube, just add your market at the end. So if it's like, do I need 20% down in Dallas, Texas, right? Or wherever you're from. So that you get a little bit of extra juice on YouTube. If anybody's searching that from Dallas or they type Dallas, you're more likely to show up because YouTube is also a search engine. So you're not trying to compete with the world or with America. You're just in your own local market. So put that in your title, most importantly. Anyway, just a little, I couldn't help the little extra little nugget for the audience there.
To your point, if they're searching that topic in their market, if that's in that description in your video, you're now getting that credit and you're more likely to rise to the top.
Well, and also if I didn't type in Dallas, Texas, but YouTube knows I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I consume Dallas Cowboys content and I look up Dallas other stuff, right? It knows I'm in Dallas. It knows my IP is Dallas. So if it says Dallas, it's more likely to show it to people who care about Dallas, but Evan Carmichael in Toronto, Canada won't see that, right? And fair enough. You don't want me necessarily watching your video either, right? It's not going to be a client for you probably. But to your question about momentum, That's why it's so important that it starts to yield either results or the potential for results, right? So, new year, new you, whatever, momentum, or you just watch this show and Phil inspired you, great. Build your list of people that you're going to do the outreach to and start. And even if it doesn't lead to a sale right away, can you get behind the fact that if these people know you, like you, trust you, it's probably a good thing for your business? And like, what else are you doing with half an hour on a Friday afternoon that has more utility or more value to your marketing than this? Because recording some dance video on Instagram probably won't be as valuable as one of the top 5 realtors in your area knowing who you are, right? Probably. So it's like, it's an easy thing to get behind. We're not talking science fiction or prayers and hoping that things kind of take off because you wore, a blue jumper suit or whatever. We're not trying to catch some trend. Like, we know relationships really matter. So that's why it's important that like it's yielding either some traction or some results, or you've closed the gap. So it's not just hope, but you see the possibility of it happening, and compare that to any of your other marketing efforts, which is they're probably not going to be as good compared to like closing, because relationships are the thing in this business.
What I hear whenever you say that is there are, while metrics aren't important for the ultimate goal, they are important to frame progress. If you're getting some views and you're getting some engagement and it's starting some conversations, even if it's not leading to referrals and closed deals, the fact that you have those, you're so much closer to that referral and closed deal than you were if you weren't doing anything. So using that as ways to create belief. And I know belief is a huge, buzzword, and something that you talk a lot about that. I'd love you just to kind of share with people, for those that are doing the work and maybe not necessarily having the momentum yet, and they're trying to attach to this belief, what kind of advice would you give them as they're out there trying to stay consistent and persistent, but not necessarily aren't having the results that they want yet?
Yeah, I mean, I know we're coming up against a clock, but a great question to close with. I'd say subscribe to Phil. Like, as self-serving as that might be for you, I guess. No, like, fill your head with people who, when your belief dips, you borrow belief from other people. And that's your job as a leader too, by the way. Like, if for people on your team, I don't know how big the people are, I guess we have different sizes, but the thing you're giving your team the most, besides the knowledge of the mortgage industry, is like, they don't believe in themselves that they can go off and sell. They're borrowing your belief in them because you believe so much in them. They believe in themselves a little bit more. And so they go off and start doing it because they don't have the self-belief. And so same thing for you. I think we started this episode with like, hey, the people listening to this are probably the most ambitious people in their circle, the ones who are caring the most, giving the most, helping the most. Cool. Who's pointing to you? And on the low days that we all have, even if we don't admit them, having a routine, having a go-to, whether that's a natural program, mentors, people you can ask questions, peers, or just content. Like, if Phil is the kind of guy that gets you fired up, it's like, okay, you know what? No, I got to change. Like, this year is my year. Cool. He's got 8 years worth of content. You can go back. And so like, if you filled your head with Phil every day, or whoever content creator you look up to, the best teachers are on YouTube. Your heroes have made videos. If you filled your head with that every day, this is going to be an incredible year for you.
Love it. I want to ask you one last question. I promise it'll only take a second. We asked you this once. We asked it of all of our guests. If you could just give one tip to mortgage professionals today to go out to use to build their business, what would it be?
Ooh, I don't know what I said 5 years ago or so, whatever that one was. Do you know?
I don't remember now.
Okay. I would say start the biz dev show, like that idea that we just talked about. Use the content. Relationships are important to you. I'm not saying anything new. This is the industry that you chose and that you're in. I'm just giving you a smarter way in 2026 to actually build those relationships in a fun way that also builds your brand and is the uncommon thing that the people in your market are not doing, and you can win.
Man, you've been an incredible guest. Thanks for coming back on. I look forward to catching up soon.
Thanks, Phil.